also the other thing, what did I learn from the DR culture that I want to take back? There's so many of them because they're not distracted. So they're sitting on their porches outside again, because it's literally 85 degrees, but 90% humidity, so it feels like it's 100, 105. So they're sitting on their porches. They're sitting out on the side of the street and hanging out with their homies, with their family members. They're playing dominoes, they're playing bones, and just spending time with each other. We've got 3 members in our family, my wife and daughter and me, and yes, obviously we work from home, thank God. We're so thankful for that. And we homeschool. So we are in the same house together, but in terms of actually spending time together, man, I was embarrassed when I saw all these people that just spend so much time together, and it's just 3 of us. I can't imagine a bigger family, just how much more difficult that is. We have all the activities, just again, how distracted I am in America. Hey, what is going on, EQ gangsters? So for those of y'all that are watching on the YouTube channel, I am in Sosua, La República Dominicana, the Dominican Republic. You guys check this out. Absolutely beautiful. I'm on a missions trip right now, wrapping up a missions trip for a week, and been serving. So we've been staying in Sosua, and then travel into the different villages and stuff each day. We hit probably about two different villages, 2 different schools a day. And I apologize in advance for the audio, just because I like this awesome scenery. Is just amazing, beautiful. God's nature. I don't think you can beat it, in my opinion. But I am standing on coral. It's not live coral, so it's dead coral, but I am standing on coral. So I do not have an easy footing, but I do have my notes. So I'm gonna be reading my notes. This episode is gonna be my after action review from this trip. And we had a meeting with the whole group last night. There's probably 40 of us on this trip. And there's probably 20, 30, maybe 25 teenagers, high school kids, and then the rest have been adults. So it's been very interesting, y'all. Very interesting. Excited to kind of share this after action review with you all. So, and these questions all came from the pastor, super dude, by the way, super guy named Pastor James, came from San Diego. Just a great dude. And so he's got some great questions here. That's why I want to use his questions in the after action review. So question 1, what fears did you come to the Dominican Republic with, and how have you overcome them? And I've been here before. 20 years ago, 30 years ago, I was here on my missions trip as a high school kid, but I went to a little place called La Vega, and like dirt roads, dirt everything. The houses literally were cinder block houses, no windows, no doors. And there were windows in the house, but there were cutouts for windows, but not like actual glass windows. There were holes for windows in the cinder blocks, but there were not actual windows. So that's where I went on my missions trip 30 years ago, was La Vega, in the Dominican Republic. So I had some sort of idea of what it was going to be like, some frame of reference. Have you guys ever been on a missions trip? Have you guys ever been traveling outside your country? And if you haven't, man, I really encourage you to do so. It's so easy for us to think that the world revolves around us and our little corner of the world, but it doesn't, right? I've got friends from my original hometown that have not left. I don't think they've left the state. And so, and that gives you a certain perspective. And so does traveling, around the world, if you have the opportunity to do so. So, and just to experience other people, other cultures, God's creation, does not just come in one size fits all. I mean, it's just been such an amazing experience in many different ways, positive and not so positive. And you'll hear that here as I go on. So, and again, sorry for those of you on YouTube, I'm moving around a lot because I still can't find a good footing. Okay, there we go. All right, so what fears did you come to the DR with and how did you overcome them? So for me, one of my fears was, how was the humidity going to affect and impact my experience and my ability to connect with the locals? Now, some of you may know, some of you may not know, we stayed in North Carolina for 23 years. And it's the temperature and the weather is just like the Dominican Republic. It is, hot and sweaty all the time. You take a shower, as soon as you get out of the shower, you need another shower. I take a shower before going to bed, and literally I wake up and I take another shower because you're sweating the whole night, even with the AC on. And so you walk outside and you're wearing the weather. So anyway, and for 23 years, being in that environment and then being in some very toxic, unhealthy, emotionally codependent, dysfunctional environments and cultures in that type of weather, what's been fascinating is that type of weather is almost triggering for me now. It's kind of crazy, the emotional connections that we make that we're not even aware of. And I was sweating it, no pun intended, that if I come out here in this hot, sweaty weather, that I'm going to be triggered, and I'm going to be just I won't have a happy heart. And so, and that happened. That definitely happened to a degree. So each day, so then how did I overcome it? So each day I sucked it up and was self-aware most of the time, not all the time, most of the time, how my emotions were being affected by the weather. Now again, not all the time. I could have been much more intentional and aware of how the weather was affecting me. Because I'm telling you, it affects my ability to think. It affects, like, it's no joke. It's no joke. That's why we're so thankful for Colorado, just because there's no humidity, right? And then the mountains and stuff, just the beauty. We're definitely mountain people for sure. So, but obviously, for those of you again watching on YouTube, it is amazing out here. The view, the ocean, the waves. You can probably hear the waves in the background. Just looking out, yeah, they've got some mountains out here too. It's just beautiful. It's beautiful. It's beautiful. And so, but here's something else too. Is I definitely did some whining and complaining. I'll be honest with you. I did a lot of whining and complaining. And I'm not proud of that. I've got to do some reflection. Like, dude, what on earth, man? You even knew it kind of coming into this, that's the environment you're going to be in, and I still let it affect me and impact me. So that's something that I'm not proud of. I'm not happy about, and that's something I've got to continue to work on. Like what I noticed is, for me, the weather, the temperature, the heat, and the humidity drops my patience level probably by about 60%. Oh, and then you throw in fatigue. So at the end of the day, we would have meetings at the end of each day once we got back to the hotel, and we'd have these meetings, and my patience dropped by probably 80 to 90%, probably 90% to be honest with you. I just had, again, I don't know, my emotional toughness, mental toughness, something, man, I just was like done. Being hot and sweaty all day, and then giving too, right? Because what we would do is we would go into each of the villages to the schools, and we probably served about 1,000 kids a day. We 500 kids at one school, then we go to another school, 500 kids at the next school, from K through 8th grade. There were a couple schools where we hit some of the high schoolers as well, but probably 75-80% of the kids were K through probably 6th grade, which was awesome, man. They were so amazing. They loved seeing us. We loved seeing them. Their joy to see us brought out our joy to see them, and they were so happy and excited. So, and these guys, all these kids were in the hood. They were kind of their schools were all in the hood. They're in the barrio. And they're that's where they lived. They lived and went to school there where they lived. And these were some very, very, low income areas. Next one. What did you learn from the Dominican culture that you take home and apply, that you'll take home and apply to your life? What did you learn from the Dominican culture and apply to your life? So they have soft, humble hearts. Amazing. Just their soft, humble, their humility. They're so grateful. They're so thankful. Next one, joy. Their joy. Next one. So, I don't know if you would consider this a third world country. I have no idea how to, what that's all about, but how to make that determination of what those factors are. It is definitely the vast majority, I would say. And again, anybody can correct me, but from all the places we went, the villages we went, the places we went, we went into some cities, we went into the countryside, Los Campos, and there's a lot of poverty out here. I'm talking like many, is it the majority? I could argue maybe even the majority of the houses that I saw were like legit shacks. I'm talking like maybe 12 foot by 12 foot shacks that families live in. But check this out. It was, for many people, it was poverty of finances, but not of joy or not of their spirits, and not of love. They were still, again, they're so giving and humble, and there's a scuba diver, snorkeler swimming behind me if you can hear the splashing. That's awesome. Also, the other thing, what did I learn from the DR culture that I want to take back? There's so many of them because they're not distracted. So they're sitting on their porches outside, again, because it's literally, 85 degrees, but 90% humidity, so it feels like it's 100, 105. So they're sitting on their porches. They're sitting out on the side of the street and hanging out with their homies, with their family members. They're playing dominoes, they're playing bones, and just spending time with each other. We've got 3 members in our family, my wife and daughter and me, and yes, obviously we work from home, thank God. We're so thankful for that. And we homeschool. So we are in the same house together, but in terms of actually spending time together, man, I was embarrassed when I saw all these people that just spend so much time together, and it's just 3 of us. I can't imagine a bigger family, just how much more difficult that is. We have all the activities, just again, how distracted I am in America. Number 3, what challenges do Dominicans face that I'm thankful that I don't have to? So my answer was poverty, but then on the other hand, I thought, man, but, and listen, I know that brings with it its own set of inherent challenges and opportunities to excel when you're living in poverty. You're living in a literally 12 foot by 12 foot shack. I can't imagine, right? I can't imagine what that would be like. So that would be my thing, is I'm thankful that I don't have to live in poverty, but again, I see all the benefits and again, that's probably my American, probably upper middle class perspective for sure, obviously, because I haven't had to live a day in poverty. And I know there's a lot of people in America that have to do that also. But now I'd also argue, which there's statistics on this, that poverty in the U.S., even in the U.S., poverty, the people that are homeless in the U.S., now this is what I've heard, I have not done the actual research and stats on this, live better than people in third world countries. Our homeless in the U.S. live better. And again, please do not take this the wrong way. I can't relate with being homeless in the U.S. either. So that's one thing that I am very, very thankful for is that I am not in poverty, and that I'm not homeless. Right? It's just, again, that would bring on a whole nother set of challenges mentally, emotionally, physically that thankfully I don't have to deal with. Number 4, what was the most impactful part of this trip for my life? Number 1, how selfish I am. Number 2, how not as holy I am compared to the Pastor James, who went. His heart is in a different spot, man, than my heart is, which is, I got to think about that. I got to pray about that. Number 3, how big and strong my comfort zone is. Number 4, how much I have that I'm not grateful for. Number 5, how distracted I am on a regular basis. Number 6, how revealing serving others is. It is very revealing, on not only for the areas in my life, but the areas of the people that I'm serving. It's just revealing. Serving other people reveals a lot about yourself. So if you ever want to find out about yourself, go serve people, and go serve people that are not in a position to repay you. And it was an amazing experience. Again, the hearts of these people was priceless for me. The next impactful part is that leadership, or lack thereof, absolutely impacts the experience and effectiveness of projects or missions or tasks. Absolutely. Even doing something great like this. There were a couple of leadership challenges, won't go into details, but that I think could have absolutely been avoided. And again, we can religiousize it, churchify it, and say, well, Noble, if you just were focused on loving people for Jesus, poor leadership or lack of leadership shouldn't matter. Well, I disagree. I tell you, I will disagree with that. It absolutely will impact somebody's experience. My military experience, I loved being in the infantry until I met an absolute chucklehead in my military unit, just a couple of them. Arrogant, cocky, self-centered, no self-awareness, no social awareness. And that absolutely impacted my love of the infantry and my experience with my job. I was with one guy for 6 months. I was with another guy for about a year, and it was just brutal. And then number 5, what would I do differently when I come here the next time? I want to help plan. I want to help organize. I want to help create systems. I want to help communicate the entire process. I want to help train the leaders to lead more effectively. And I want to do a personality and spiritual gifts assessment with everyone prior to going. I just think the more preparation and communication that can happen, the better, in my opinion. Folks may disagree, that's my opinion. How can you better support and encourage one or more team members better the next time? I can genuinely ask one or more people on the team before, during, and after each project how they're doing. That would also help me be less selfish, or to catch my selfishness, or to disrupt my selfishness if I had been more intentional in doing that. But because I had teeny heart syndrome and was so selfish and so wrapped up in how hot and sweaty I was, it was very hard for me to think of other people, which again, that is absolutely a reflection on my degree of selfishness. So I'm very thankful again for this opportunity to go serve in the Dominican Republic, to give me this experience to really rip the Band-Aid off on how selfish I am and how big my comfort zone is. Next one, action items. This is the last one, number 7, action items. Reflect on, okay, so I did some, and I'm gonna do probably a whole nother episode on this. I'm gonna move spots though. But here's the homework I have. I won't go into details because I'm gonna tell the story in the other episode. But I sat down with one of the high school students, and he was going through some challenges, and is going through some challenges, and we discussed some stuff, and we came up with some homework. And the homework that he and I are going to be doing together, well, he's going to be doing it individually, and I'm going to be doing it individually. Number 1 is, how do I want my life to turn out? I have to, in writing, we have to answer these 3 questions. Number 1, how do I want my life to turn out? Number 2, define what a strong man is. And number 3, define what a good father is. how do I want my life to turn out? Define what a strong man is. Define what a good father is. Because I asked him, how do you want your life to turn out? He said, I want to be a strong man, and I want to be a good father. And I said, well, I don't know what those are. What is a strong man? What is a good father? What do those mean? And so that's something I'm going to be chewing on as well. And again, I'm going to share that in a whole nother episode, because there's a lot of stuff that he and I talked about that was fire. The next thing I want to do is, the other things I want to reflect on these notes that I just shared with you guys, and I'm going to reflect on my experience and how do I want to do that. Part of the system that I want to do is I want to look back at the photos. I took a zillion photos so I can keep those memories and the lessons fresh. I want to do a thankfulness journal. The other thing too I learned was the power of a smile. So some Dominicans have a really tough exterior. And again, this is tough living. This is very tough living here. The heat makes it very, very, very difficult. The environment, it's a I won't say austere environment. It's not, because it's obviously it's lush. The fruit out here is just unbelievable. But it's tough living, right? It's tough living in 100+ degree temperatures, feeling like it's 100+ degree temperatures, and most of these houses don't have AC, and again, everyone is sweating and constantly, right? It's nonstop sweating, and so and then just the way of life out here, because most people are in poverty, it's tough living. And it was so powerful going out and sharing the love of God, and for me, I love Jesus, sharing the good news about Jesus and my relationship with Jesus. We walk down in the hood of some of these villages, some of these impoverished cities, and folks, again, sitting on the sidewalk, sitting in their houses right there on the sidewalk, that had these tough exteriors. But as soon as all I did was I would just do my big giant smile, and I would immediately go up there and dap them up, and they immediately smiled. Their entire countenance changed. So the power of a smile. I'm talking, and I probably interacted with myself personally 300 to 500 people, myself. Of all the houses we went down the streets, again, hundreds of kids a day, 1,000 kids a day, but I didn't interact with all 1,000 necessarily, each one of them. Just the power of a smile. And then again, the thankfulness journal, I've got to get better at that. I've noticed that my thankfulness has dropped over the past year or two. I think because of the detoxing process and program I've been through for the dysfunctional environment I was in for 20 some years. And so because I've gone so much internal and try to do a lot of self-reflection and self-awareness and stuff, I think it's impacted my thankfulness. So I want to get better at being more thankful. And then the last thing is, when I feel myself going internal too long or too negative, and start to stew and brood, I want to reach out to someone that I can add value to and encourage, is my last point there. Rather than me just staying in that stewing and brooding cycle, I want to noble. So number one, I got to be aware of my stewing and brooding. I got to be aware of this cycle of not a cycle, but like I want to be aware of, as soon as I start stewing and brooding and having teeny heart syndrome and being selfish and whining and complaining, catch myself, which again I did sometimes, but many times I didn't, and catch myself, and then reach out to somebody that I can encourage, text, share a good Bible verse with, or a good quote, inspirational quote, motivational quote with, and hopefully encourage them with. So anyway, those are my lessons learned from the Dominican Republic. And if you guys get an opportunity to travel here, your life will be changed because of the hearts of the people. Just some amazing more of God's amazing creation out here in the Dominican Republic. And it has just been such a tremendous blessing. So hopefully you got some takeaways. Please travel if you have an opportunity to do so, even if it's not with a missions trip. Just travel somewhere, and maybe go work in a soup kitchen in some other country. Go work in a homeless shelter in some other country. Go volunteer at some business. And I mean, in here in the Dominican Republic, I'm sure they have all that stuff. I don't know, but man, walk into go to a school, go to a business. Hey, how can I help? Can I, sweep the trash up? Can I pick up trash? Can I clean up something? Can I go paint something? Go buy some paint and start painting something for them. Figure out how you can serve somebody else, and start with your family. Who in your family can you serve? I tell you something else too, man. My pride and ego. Oh my gosh. Anything I can do to fight, combat my pride and ego, I want to do that. I really want to be more selfless and have more of a servant, selfless heart. So anyway, that's all stuff I'm working on, praying about, thinking about. You guys rock. Remember, emotionally healthy people help heal other people emotionally. Emotionally healthy leaders create emotionally healthy cultures and organizations which optimize and maximize outcomes and results.